with B-Bad and Brandon.
But how are you, bro?
Yeah, good man. Been pretty damn busy for the last couple of months, but it's been fun nevertheless.
Yeah, you look like you're up to some really cool stuff of obviously on the socials and big change in from your own training, because obviously like people would know you as being really, really strong powerlifter. I'm pretty sure you compete as a 125.
Yep, I was a small 125. Little 117 boy.
Tiny
117. A small 125 could be argued as probably you were ginormous, but because you won, if I'm not mistaken, we were talking about it just before, you won the 2019 GPC Nats.
I chucked a Bradbury.
Mate, a win's a win. You take what you get, especially in the game of powerlifting these days. But so what brought about the change in your own training?
So I think it's similar to a lot of people, and it was pretty much COVID. Because once at that 2019 comp, I hit the goal that I wanted, which was an 800 total before I was 21, so before I left juniors. Then the other goal from there was to do pro raw at the Arnold's. And then that year I qualified for the Arnold's, but then it got COVIDed. And then after that, I kind of didn't really have any other goals to push forward. Then I had like a year or two during COVID where I kind of just wasn't training very much. There wasn't too much drive. There wasn't too much of reason or purpose. And then I went to a weightlifting class with one of my good friends now, Brandon Accardi, and then just decided to start learning weightlifting because I guess I didn't have anything else that I wanted to do in the sport of powerlifting from an athlete side of things. Then spent 2 years learning weightlifting. In the beginning, I was absolutely abhorrent at it. I'm still pretty bad at it, but it's getting better. And then just started to enjoy running and sprinting again, then looked into gymnastics and kind of led me to where I am now, just this weird hodgepodge of kind of everything that interests me and that I enjoy.
That's awesome, though. It's a really good transition. And I just want to just go back a sec. Did you say you totaled 800 and you weren't even 21?
Yeah, I was 20.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What the bro? Okay.
Damn. Not many 20s doing that.
Not many 20s, but dude, I thought you were like 25. Like back
25
then.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
That's
that's actually a funny story because when I first started with Will and Mickey, I think I was like 18, and there was a point where Mickey was going through my Facebook and she was like, "Hey man, you're going to have to delete all these high school photos that are sitting on your Facebook so people don't know that you're a child."
Bro, I'm shook by this. Like, not just from obviously you look a little bit older than definitely not fucking 18, and especially back then, but the way you held yourself and the knowledge that you possess, I thought for sure you were mid-20s, bro.
I was definitely a weird kid. I just loved everything strength training. And I think I started in the gym because I started track and field when I was like merely a fetus. And then I destroyed my back doing high jump and picked up like a really bad grade spondylolisthesis. I was on my ass for like a couple of years, and then weight training is what got me out of pain for that. I think I started in the gym when I was like 15 as rehab for the back. And then I was like, oh, I really enjoy this.
And so it all literally kicked off from there.
Yeah, pretty much. Then I started just, on tnationbodybuilding.com doing all sorts of weird shit. Then moved into coaching my friends for free, and then got offered a job with Will and Mickey, and I was like, I'm not going to say no. And they essentially adopted me as a child.
And that's like, obviously, Will's a fucking genius in his own right, and Mickey's a bloody wonder with what she's doing and assisting in Nexus. So like at the age of 18, coming on board with that sort of brand and that sort of power already, like obviously Will, everyone knows Will, he's the height of powerlifting in Australia. Like that is a very big achievement at such a young age. Were you studying at this point as well?
Yeah, my studying journey's a sketchy one. So I finished high school and then I wanted to do medicine. So I was doing medical science at UTS in Sydney, and then I very quickly realized university I was not very good at. So I got halfway through a medical science degree and then dropped out because I was hating it. Then I was like, oh, maybe sports science would be better. Then I did half of a sports science degree and hated it and left that as well. So I essentially did
you got
4 years of study for no degrees.
Oh no.
Bloody hell. Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. Obviously, I just doing the 1 degree though, and I was like, no, fuck this.
It's just, I don't know. I wasn't great at high school. Anything outside of the gym, I'm not the brightest bulb in the bunch. If I'm not really into something, I just can't do it. I can't do what I'm told unless I'm like, this is super interesting. And that mixture doing like second year chemistry and statistics, I was like, hold on, I don't give a fuck what a p-value is. Like,
fucking hell, bro. But that's insane. So you're pretty much self-educated throughout your whole process, throughout your whole career.
yeah,
And
for the most
I
part.
guess that's why you're probably like so intelligent within the space, because you just picked up things that are really interesting to you.
And a lot of it came from Will and Mickey and all the people who I've been lucky enough to just give me free information, because you find that people who really love what they do are very free with sharing that information. Like they just love talking about it. And I'm sure you guys would have seen with the podcast you're doing and from the podcast that I've started, like people just want to talk about the shit that they love. And I think a lot of people are scared to ask the questions or just sit down and talk to someone. But for the most part, they'll just give away everything. And it's like, no, this isn't my information, because everything that I know I got from somebody else. I've just put whatever spin that I have on it and have regurgitated it essentially. None of this is new stuff.
And that's a big part of the industry. Like I think a lot of people feel, when they come up, or not even come up with the idea, but people assume it's their idea. It's like, no, this stuff's been around forever. Yes, there's new information, new studies being done, but these theories that they're basing it all off, it's been here for centuries. It's one of the fastest growing and oldest industries, because we've been moving things to get bigger, stronger, faster for as long as we've been walking on 2 legs. So there's always going to be, it's just a full regurgitation of information. Like nothing that I know has been my own idea. Like it's all come from being learned or being taught something.
You mean if I watch it on Instagram, that doesn't mean it's not the first time it's ever been done?
Exactly. Like I posted a video today, and guess what? Those 3 tips, I was taught them by someone else.
No, they were your tips, originals.
As soon
if
as
it says original
Instagram
audio,
page, it's yours.
yeah, exactly. It's my intention.
You just got to put your name in front of it.
Yeah,
the Brando thing, the Brando X20,
Brando X20,
the ultimate warm-up protocol.
Oh, mate, you got to train for that.
That's like
what was your
throwback?
Did you ever pinch yourself or anything that you started with Will and Mickey as like your first kick out with coaching? Because like that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, at the time I didn't really, not that I didn't really notice it, but at the time I was young and I was like, cool, someone's going to pay me to do my hobby. This is amazing. Yep. More so as the brand grew and as I kind of grew and realized the opportunity that I got, I was like, wow, I was given like a substantial leg up in this industry, because I spent maybe a year or 2 on the gym floor. Like I was green.
Yep.
And being able, because remember the first comp that I handled at was Pro Raw. It was one of the Pro Raws. And I just remember because I used to train with up at PTC Lidcombe before that went to No Man's Land. And a lot of the guys there who were at Pro, I was wrapping knees of guys who were squatting like over 400. I'm just standing there like, why am I here? Who put me back here? What's going on? So yeah, in hindsight, I was, it's kind of surreal that I was given those opportunities and really kind of just ran with them, I guess.
And follow-up question is, how did that opportunity come about? Like, were you in the right spot at the right time? Did you reach out to them? How did you get on their radar?
I was paying Will for coaching. So after my first coach, I left them. I tossed up between Will and Thomas, and Will was somebody who I guess I had better chats to. I enjoyed how he spoke and I loved his content. So I ended up going with him for a year or so. And then they were at a point where they were looking for a coach and they thought it would be easier to just train up some semi-neuro spicy child than having somebody come on who's like brand new and ready to go. Yeah. So they kind of took that opportunity and just gave it to me, I guess.
I guess it's from their perspective as well. Like, their systems, you've been through their programming, how they operate to some degree. So you're already halfway there. It's just doing it from the other side of it now. And as you said, it's your bloody hobby. So if you're interested in it, you're going to go full ball in.
And I think as well, because I always asked questions and I was interested in how the bits and pieces worked, and they knew that I was studying at the time. So yeah, it was quite cool to get that chance.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, you've not parted ways in a good way and started your own ventures.
Yeah. So 3 months or so ago, I said goodbye to my adopted parents, and through that whole process, they were just like, there's not a single bad word that I could say about either of them or the whole team. Like the fact that they gave me my start, took care of me for like 5 or 6 good years, and then realized that I was at a point where I wanted to explore other things. And for me as well, I didn't want to pull them in a direction that they kind of didn't want to go.
Yep.
So I thought that it's a good time to make myself uncomfortable again and move out on my own. And God, uncomfortable it did make, because that first I remember the first week I was sitting there and I was like, this is a horrible choice. I've left like a stable job, like a really good coaching gig with a great team, to like sit here by myself posting
Now it's
videos
just
of
me.
plyometrics.
All right.
Geez, they must have been proud parents, for lack of a better word, to see their young coach they'd grown and developed to now be out flying his own wings.
Yeah. I remember like the phone call that we had, I was dreading having it, because like I'm not that it was a confrontation, but I'm not great at speaking and like saying emotion things. So that phone call, we got on the Zoom call and I was like, and there was definitely emotions and all the other stuff, but at the end of it, they were very proud, and it was just it was a nice full circle, I guess.
Yep.
That's really cool, man. And how's it been now? Obviously 3 months in, you said?
Yeah, I've definitely found my feet a bit more now too, but I didn't realize that the shift that I took, like I've pivoted pretty much fully away from powerlifting. I still coach powerlifters. I still love being at comps, but it's definitely, my interest has shifted a lot more towards just general athletic development. And that definitely plays a big role in powerlifting. I'm sure we'll touch on that a bit later, but making that whole demographic shift as well. It's like if you follow a meme page for cat memes, then they start posting political content. It's like, hold on, I came here for powerlifting. Why are you running now? I didn't realize that shift would take a bit longer to kind of take hold and get people seeing me as a different figure in the industry.
And how do you want to be seen now in the industry?
I guess I'm still trying to figure that out for myself, to be honest. I do have the intent to work with some more sporting teams. And I think for the most part, like similar to how Angus Bradley's doubled down on all the GPP kind of stuff, I just want to be a proponent of, I'm a personal trainer. I can coach a wide variety of things. I can produce great results across many goals. And I think that just monicum of strength coach or personal trainer kind of got watered down as a lot of people dove deeper and deeper into these specialties. Because I guess like you guys have been in the industry for a long time, and before all the social media stuff, you kind of had the people in your gym who you'd coach, and you had to wear all those hats because they weren't going to go anywhere else. There was no other gyms near them. And as people have had the ability to find people for their niche, it's just specialized more and more and more. And I kind of want to pull that back a bit more, because I think that people are losing sight of all these other qualities that can complement all these other goals within that.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I think we get really stuck in, and I know I've been down that route before, of just being powerlifting. No matter what the goal may be, it's like, well, we still train like this, and you got to shift, you got to have a pivot, and you got to understand there's so many more aspects to health, fitness, than just putting a bar on your back, going up and down, and deadlifting and benching, even though they're still fun. And I still obviously program all of that for the guys that need it.
Do you enjoy the sort of broader challenge of developing programs and looking after a broader group of humans than being so specific in one space?
I find it more enjoyable because there's definitely nuances to powerlifting coaching. I'm not saying it's the most simple thing in the world, but Christ, there's only so many ways you can program squat, bench, deadlift, especially in an industry.
Hey, I've got a special way that no one else knows about, right?
Yeah, but especially in a place where people like, they expect a certain thing. They expect it to look a certain way. And trying to implement different things, people push back on like basic cardio, and it's like, hold on.
Yeah, they do.
Like, there's so many other things that are so challenging and enjoyable and can fill these slots really well.
And it's one of those things for you now. Obviously, I've seen a bit of your content. You're sprinting again, which looks absolutely sick. And working with Anna. I can't remember her last name. Anna Wish Fitness on Instagram. I see you guys posting a little bit of stuff around the gymnastics sort of stuff, which looks pretty fun and cool.
Yeah, so for the last little bit, I've really always wanted to do like handstand walks and muscle ups and stuff. And now that I've lost some weight, it's kind of a little bit more achievable. So I had her on my podcast a couple of weeks ago now. That's coming out soon. But she offered for me to give a go to one of her like toaster bar programs. And I was like, yeah, why not? I'll give it a crack. And so she's kind of given me those pieces of gymnastics that I'd never had. Like they're the two domains of fitness that I never really touched was long distance or endurance sports, because I never did them as a kid, and gymnastics, because I was like 6 foot by the time I was 12. So that was never something that I was really great at.
That's fair, bro. And what's looking at this broader spectrum now, like what's one thing from your perspective that you've seen worked really well in a general population or someone who is looking to develop themselves more athletically that we as powerlifters could get a lot of benefit from, because we either avoid doing it or it's just outside of that, that what we spoke about before, it's out of that real niche squat bench dead?
I think that if we're going to talk broader domains, it's more explosive activities, and not explosive in the sense of like, let's do some fast banded squats. Like, no, like actually creating propulsion and turning things into projectiles, because those things have such unique benefits and interactions with not only tendons and connective tissue, but the actual musculature itself. It also puts us in positions that we don't really ever enter. So I think out of all the pieces, if I had to say, cool, you're going back to straight powerlifting, you can only keep one, I'd probably keep that out of any of the others, if that kind of answers the question.
100%. And how would you apply that in sort of, for our listeners, what would that look like is probably a better way?
So the way that I've been breaking it up personally, and the working model still needs some tinkering, but I've cut them back into things that I'd term light and heavy ballistics. Light ballistics are generally going to be things like plyometrics, sprints, and throws, like producing explosiveness with your own body weight or like a small implement. Then heavy ballistics being like your weighted jumps or your Olympic lifts, because they're kind of the only two that fit that category well. And just having a good mix of both of them, dependent on what powerlifting phase you're in. Like if you're in a deeper off season and you have the capacity to power clean, it's probably going to be a good tool. But if you've got a comp next week, you're probably not going to be power cleaning. But things like deep tier plyometrics, more extensive jumping, and stuff like your throws can be implemented even within a high amount of specificity for powerlifting. It can tick a lot of the boxes for general movement prep and range of motion goals, and it's really not fatiguing at all. Like you can do a couple of throws of a med ball or a sandbag if you have like strongman equipment, and if that impacts your squat, then I'm sorry, you have bigger problems. If you can't do a couple of things before you lift, then something's wrong.
Something's going wrong, and it's more than just a sandbag.
You have some opportunities.
Have you had much pushback from, say, powerlifters you've previously coached and tried to implement these sort of things, or have you had the discussion going, maybe we should try and just add in a little bit more plyometric work, and they immediately push back?
I'd say so, but on that same token, I don't really push it super hard on them, because I know that things that I've done in the past where I've found something new and exciting, I'm like, everyone's doing this tomorrow. And I've kind of matured a bit in that and like, cool, I find value in these tools.
Yes.
But plenty of people have gotten very strong without them. Plenty of people lift and are healthy without them. So I'll bring them up and I'll say, hey man, look, I'm excited about this. I think it'll have value. Do you want to try it? If they say no, I kind of just leave it be. Or I find like the smallest, least notable piece that they kind of won't see.
Notice,
and just, slot it in there.
Sprinkle it in there.
Yeah, like just a little bit. Like, hey, we'll do some skipping. It's something. So that's
they're
kind
jumping
of
without realizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Zach.
That's actually really funny. But like as you said before, like just the benefits of tendon health. How much do you believe that if we implemented something like plyometrics or even something like in an off season, like an explosive push up off the floor, like do you reckon that would have some sort of carryover to possibly having an impact for people who suffer from things like tendinopathy in their elbows, coming back to low bar squatting, creating healthier tendons, connective tissue, more stiffness through the joints.
100%. Because you can even take a step back from the specific benefits these explosive or ballistic actions are giving you. And it's just like, no, just something different. Just something that doesn't crank your humerus behind your head with hundreds of kilos on it. Like, I don't give a fuck what it is, but just something that pulls you a little bit away from that and exposes some sort of a different stimulus, whether it's higher velocities, whether it's throwing something, whether it's like extended isometrics, which are another really cool thing. Just not the same position with not the same stimulus will definitely have a positive impact, at least in my mind, and from what I've seen of my guys and gals.
You ever had anyone come back to you and be like, damn it, Zach, you're right. That silly jumping stuff was really good.
More so with like the isometrics and stuff like that, because I found that I went down a deep rabbit hole. I forget who I heard it from, but they were a proponent of like between 3 and 5 minute split squat holds. And I was like, all right, let's try this. So I gave people in prep like 2 to 3 minute body weight split squat holds if they refused to do any other form of split squats. Because we all have those guys who are like, no, I don't like split squats. And it's kind of like, well, just stand there in this kind of the same spot. And the results that I saw from that were comparable to them just doing the normal split squat. And it's like, no, the split squats don't fucking matter. It's the fact that they did something different. Produced the benefit. So it's like we're all sitting here writing down, Bulgarians for this, and we need to do this elevation for that. It's like, no, just take them off 2 legs and give them something. Don't give a fuck what it is, but it'll probably help.
Because we can get so bogged down with just doing the 3 bigger lifts and just moving our body in one direction, essentially, down and up, and the same range of movement over and over again. Like, there is so many different things that our muscles and body should be doing.
I've got a question for. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, and then within that, because it's so specific, even the variability is specific. It's like the most different thing to a low bar squat is a Bulgarian split squat, and it's like it's still the same hip position, just on one foot. It's like we're so far to the left that even like a smidge to the right, people are like, there we go, it's different now. It's like, not really. It's still super similar if you look at the bandwidth of what we're actually capable of doing.
I've got a question for both of you now. Do you ever like implement something with a client and then they're a little bit resistant, they come back to you and go, oh, you were right, and it's like you kind of get offended that they thought you'd be wrong, and it's like, this isn't my first day, and I just
all the time.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I'm not the only one. I'm like, bro, guys, come on.
The classic conversation of, you give me money, a nice amount of money every week, for one reason, because you trust I know what I'm fucking doing, and it works because you've done it many times and repeated the thing, and we get the result thing that you pay me to get, which is nice
every time,
every single time, and we have this chat every time. Oh, you were right.
It just
all the time. So when I say do the thing, just fucking do it.
I agree.
On that same token, though, I've definitely implemented things that haven't worked and been like, sorry, mate.
Well, it's their fault because they did it wrong. It's not your fault, mate.
You're like, I'm too smart for it to go wrong, so you definitely fucked it up.
Yeah, it's 100% your fault.
And how's the podcast going, bro?
Man, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having like, when we started the one with Will and Mickey and Nexus, like I didn't think I'd enjoy it at the start, but I found out that I really just loved having those conversations. And I have to admit, being a guest, so much easier. So much easier to be a podcast guest, because you kind of sit here and it's like, cool, ask me questions. Whereas trying to direct a conversation, I've really gained a respect for that skill. But the people I've been able to speak to, the information that I've gotten, like, it's been invaluable. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, sometimes, and I know for me personally, when we have people like yourself that are on to learn different stuff, it's literally a free education session for me for an hour once a week.
It is. That's the best part about talking. Like, we started this podcast with the idea that everyone has a story, everyone has information that they can share, and there's always hidden gold in it. So we just kind of like sit back and just go, okay, well, here's your topic, now go. And then it just works well.
Yeah, were you stressed or anything or anxious about doing your first podcast with interviewing people and that kind of stuff? Or did you just naturally flow with it?
Not really, because I've taken to only interviewing people who I've spoken to previously.
Yep.
Just because if I have no rapport with someone,
Yep.
I'm about as awkward as two cats in a bag in a river. Like, it's not good. Like, I can't speak well. Whereas if I the bread in your face,
Bro, that analogy just kept going. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, two cats in a river.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, this is escalated.
Yeah, that's
you got to
not
build
bad.
on them.
That's a bad day for those cats.
Yeah.
Those poor tabbies. But
Yep.
yeah, because I was able to speak to people beforehand, and
Yep.
I'm not really interested in talking to people who I don't know at all.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
I understand that there's going to be limitations within that conversation,
Yep.
and at least give like a couple of weeks to just like harass them on Instagram for a bit, send them some memes, and realize what like awful things I can say when they're on the podcast and where the line's drawn. I think that's important for me as well.
I like how you gauge it though with memes. Like that's our new currency of communication.
You have
Just
to. It
leveling
starts
up
with,
each meme.
It starts with topic specific, then you're like sending them Shrek erotica. Like, how far can I go?
Damn, why didn't I get any Shrek erotica after I asked you to come on the podcast?
I can send you some. There's a couple. There's
Please.
a couple sitting in the inbox.
Send that through.
Literally gonna just Google what
Shrek
erotica.
Shred
There's
erotica.
like an actual book you can purchase. It's been on
Oh
my
my
I guess because I send people this shit. It's
Yep.
all across my Instagram feed.
Oh yeah,
So it's
the
like this
algorithm
professionally
knows
done-
what you're
yeah.
into.
It knows what I'm looking at.
I'm a big fan of the algorithm. I'll Google that later. I'm a big fan of the algorithm because it'll hear my conversations and then it'll literally put in front of me what I want to buy. It's actually, it's doing me a favor.
It's also
I
terrifying.
feel like they can keep listening to what I'm doing.
You're okay with it.
Yeah, I'm like, sure. If you keep putting the products I need in front of me, I'll keep buying it. It's great target marketing.
So for you personally, bro, obviously you've moved away from competitive powerlifting, at least for now. Is there a competitive bone in you still that would like to do something? Like, would you see yourself running or jumping again, or do you start looking towards another sport or something else, or are you just all business at the moment?
Honestly, at the moment, mostly business, but I hated competing.
Yep.
I absolutely hated just the sheer amount of anxiety that it brought me, and two, just like how competitive that I am. Like I am sickeningly competitive. So as soon as I commit to something, it's like, okay, nothing else exists. I need to beat everyone. And at the moment, that's not super conducive. And I would love to get on a track and do like 100 and a 200. That's something that I do really want to get back into. Also because I know that because I hate competing, it's something that I kind of have to do because it's, it's an uncomfortable thing. It's good to do things you're uncomfortable with, all that jazz. But yeah, there's definitely a track meet and a weightlifting meet in my future, I feel.
Oh, ollie lifting, that'd be fun.
Well, the ollie lifting meets are really weird because they're a rising bar.
It's
completely different to powerlifting. So I need to actually see and do one of them. So I'm like, that's how this works.
Have you been to a local ollie comp before?
Never.
I have. I went to a juniors one a couple of years ago because I was training a young fella who was doing some ollie stuff and went to watch him. And it is organized chaos between the speed of the loaders, like putting weight on the bar because they know that coaches slow the comp down by changing attempts. So they're fucking rushing on and off of weights to coaches messing with attempt selection. And this was just at a local backyard in Maryborough meet. Like, as a coach, I would be freaked out by that rising bar concept.
Especially when you have to follow yourself.
Yeah.
Like Brandon was explaining that to me, like, if you're the weakest person there or the strongest person there, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're just going again.
It actually like does my head in how it works sometimes. Like, and then again, if someone changes the attempt, you have to follow yourself. You're like, no, I'm going to stick to powerlifting where I at least have a whole round to change an attempt in the final deadlift. Very simple brain, very simple mind, and I'm okay with it.
It's a lot more comfortable.
It'd be fun to compete, though, I think. Like, if you are like competing, wherever you're sitting in the place, particularly if you're trying to win, just that game of attempt selection versus your competitor would be just played at a whole nother level. It'd be a hoot.
I also don't know if you noticed, but Jonny added, when you're saying, is there another competitive powerlifting comp? He added yet or again for you. So will you get back to the platform?
Probably, Because for me, one of the most enjoyable parts of powerlifting was the people and just being in those spaces. And I think for me now, like I'd love to just do an unpeaked 700 naked, because I think I did like 685 at a comp at Apex a little bit ago, and just went butt naked, didn't do wraps, split sleeves, belt, anything. So I'd love to do like a 700.
That's cool.
And you just
very cool.
Just rocked up.
Yes.
That's sick,
bro.
Ready any day. You're a training run away from 800 if you put some toys on.
like did you just do it for fun?
Yeah, I think it was like an 8-week prep, because we maxed out our deadlifts in the gym and I pulled 310 and I was like, oh, okay.
Still got it.
We'll give it a go. I haven't deadlifted or benched in like 6 or 7 months now. So it's been a couple of months between drinks. But I think just being able to go and enjoy the community and the people of powerlifting without being in chronic pain or having massive intestinal distress from eating 7,000 calories, I think would be enjoyable.
Fucking bro,
what's your body weight at the moment, bro? What do you sit around now without all the heavy lifting?
105 to 108. Like my body just doesn't want to go below 105, and I'm not mad about it. But I'm still not very fast, and I still can't do many pull-ups.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say being 105 and sprinting is not very comfortable.
When I first started integrating it back in, I tore my hamstring 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
The left one twice and the right one once. And the first one was like bad. Like I couldn't walk for a couple of days. It was like a 6 to 7 week process to hinge again. And then as soon as I ran again, I did it again, because I was like, okay, I'll just go full pelt, but this time without the spikes. Doesn't matter. You'll still tear a hamstring.
You still got to use your hamstring.
I like the idea. The idea was good. Unfortunately, the execution there just did not come through.
Pretty much. But yeah, that was the like excessive weight. And I say excessive weight. Like I never got super fat, but I was round. Like like my face was the different shape, because I got up to 125, and that was uncomfortable. Because I'm 6'2". Like I'm not super tall, but I'm not short. I'm definitely not big enough to be 125.
Yep.
Bro, that's a lot of weight on a 6'2" frame too.
That was hefty.
And you feel obviously a lot healthier and a lot nicer at 105 walking around?
Honestly, the difference is like it's shifted my mindset around like what nutrition should be, and it kind of makes me feel like we probably shouldn't be force feeding to gain a bunch of weight we probably don't need for performance, because I did a lot of damage to like my intestinal health, and like what I can and can't eat now is greatly impacted by what I put in myself before. Like I am heavily lactose intolerant. I was still doing that go mad. Like,
you were.
We were pounding milk. Just because. Like,
whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're sitting there watching Rich Piana videos, drinking milk. Like, I hate myself.
I get it. You're watching his 8-hour arm workout. You remember that
one specifically?
Yeah. And you're just watching him chug 8 protein shakes throughout the day. Bro, something's not right here. And it's not me. It's not me for watching this.
But yeah, that's something that changed for me a lot. And now it's kind of like, cool. I'm definitely smaller. I definitely have less muscle on my frame. But also, I kind of just don't care. Like, I can... Like, a big turning point for me was whenever I used to make my bed when I was my strongest, like, I couldn't pick the sheet up or, like, the doona up with both hands and lift it up high because my shoulders had hurt. And I was like, what's the point here? Like, I can't make my bed. Like, something's not right.
It's like I've dropped 20 kilos of body weight, but I've added 20 kilos to my life.
Oh, like I can walk as far as I want to. Like there's no restriction. Like I could start walking now and then just, I don't know, keep going. Before that wasn't an option. Yeah, it's definitely an increase in quality of life.
Yep.
And I think we get, I know, as I say, I know we get lost in the fact, and I've been caught in that rabbit hole of just thinking powerlifting is everything. So you force feed the calories, you do the extra sets, you do all that, and you've really got to take a step back and go, there's got to be something more.
No,
That's why I
100% agree.
That's why I really like what you do and your message out there with all the athletic stuff and anyone else that talks about an athletic thing. Because anyone who does want to be at that edge of powerlifting, the tippy top of it, where maybe you do need to be a little heavier and maybe need to eat a little bit more, but if you incorporate all those other movements and those other things and thinking a bit differently, maybe you could feel a bit healthier and feel a bit nicer and still be able to do some walking and stretch and reach and do stuff. Like, if we start thinking a lot more like that, we should hopefully see a lot more powerlifters feeling and better, essentially, as humans.
It's definitely gotten better at the top end. Like, you can see those shifts. I don't think it'll ever shift all the way, purely because the people at the top will be at the top regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
Like, some people, you just find them at a farm somewhere in New Zealand and be like, you can squat 400. Come with me.
Yeah.
Like, some people are just completely different, and that's great for them. But all of the people in that middle road, it's like, holy shit, just do some different stuff. You're going to be just as strong, if not stronger. Because I think that, like, I definitely wouldn't have classified myself as like a really good powerlifter. Because I know that if I like really put the screws down, I could have been a lot stronger. But I just did not want to give what I would have had to give to do that. Like, compared to where I could have pushed it, I was like, I didn't want to use drugs. I didn't want to jeopardize my health for the future. And I just wanted to feel better. And I was like, I hit 800. I didn't give a single fuck about 850, because if you're going to do 850, you may as well do 900. And I just don't think I could have held up if I tried to push for that. And for a lot of people, for one, they don't have a specific goal in mind, because I think everyone should kind of have an exit strategy from the thing that they love. Because it's like, there's nothing sadder than watching someone never have a goal, hit these peaks, and then like pitter off. It's like an old boxer who used to be at the top and then just gets absolutely mollywocked as they push through to later years and later years. And it's like, hold on, you're allowed to accomplish something and then pivot.
Yeah.
There's no one standing there being like, hey man, you can't leave now. You're here with us. It's like, you can achieve what you want and still enjoy the community, still enjoy being a part of it, but challenge yourself in other ways on top of that.
I think that is a really, really good message. And it's just like we see it all the time in, team sports, the athlete that just goes one season too long and has an injury, or, doesn't have the best season to finish off their career. And I really like the message of, it's important to have an exit strategy. And it's not something I've actually come across a lot of. I don't think I've ever heard that before, especially in terms of the sport. Is that something that was posed to you by someone else, or is that something that you've kind of looked at as throughout your own process and journey?
Something that I've kind of looked at for myself, because what am I trying to say? So for me, it didn't sit well that I lost the ability to do things that I used to enjoy. And it made me sit back and question my values of, okay, why am I doing this? Well, I really enjoy powerlifting. Who cares about it? Me. Yes, it had something to do with my business and my job, but also you don't have to be a really good competitive powerlifter to be a really good coach. Like, I think that to be a really good coach, you have to be able to understand it to some capacity, and you have to have applied it to yourself, to whatever capacity your body and your lifestyle allows you to apply it to. Like, for me, I could not coach Olympic lifting without having done it. I could not coach these gymnastic movements without having done it. Doesn't mean I'm going to clean 180, like, not even close. But I've cleaned like a 143, not awfully, and I'm a much better coach than I am an athlete in most circumstances. But you have to have done it. I forgot what the question was.
We'll talk about the idea of the exit strategy and how you develop that.
Yeah.
But I liked your answer anyway. It was pretty good.
I'm glad.
The something to just think to myself is like having more exposure to other things whilst you're training your powerlifting will probably help you with that idea of an exit strategy as well. Or when if the time comes to, maybe you don't leave powerlifting, but you scale back your push towards the sport, so to speak. Let's call it. It's a bit more of a social experience now. When you've got exposure to other stuff, it'll make a bit more sense and give you other things to enjoy as well.
But to add to that, like, and I think it also helps you connect the dots a little bit further, in sense, like, so similar to yourself, Zach. Like I started coaching with Redcliffe Dolphins this year. Very different style of coaching when you're programming athletes that have to be strong, fit, conditioned, can take a tackle, can pivot left, right, whatever it is. So it's a very different aspect. But then stepping back and going, wait a minute, if I implement some of this into my, the team here, I can achieve X, Y, Z, but they still get stronger. And then it becomes more enjoyable, and there's greater adherence because the client's going, oh, this is new and exciting. So there's I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think if we take a very holistic and step back, take a bigger picture view of it, there's many things we can influence and change to get a similar, if not better result, and still be hella strong and look after our bodies a bit better.
The only thing that moderates that is time. And I call it the lollipop predicament, because you can have a really nice lollipop and you can just crunch through that bitch. Like you can just stick it in your mouth and bite through it, or you can, use it for what it's intended to. Like the most efficient way to get lollipop inside you is to crunch on it. And that's kind of like doing your 15 sets of low bar squat and bench press a week. It's like, cool, if you bench 5 days a week, your bench is going to get a shitload better really, really quickly. But also, what's the plan? Like, do you just want to get in, bust a load, and then get out? If you want to do that, you could probably go in there, use a bunch of drugs, do a bunch of bench press, do a bunch of squats, mess some things up, but be super strong. But to go along with that exit strategy, don't you want to prolong the period that you get to progress? Prolong the time that you can enjoy this sport, because no one cares but you. And wouldn't you rather be progressing for 15, 20 years, being around the people in the sport that you love and feel good, and intermittently wave in these other aspects of coaching? Or do you just want to sit there, get nosebleeds, smack your head against the bar, and then be forced out of it when you're 25? It's like one of those options seems much, much better to me.
Oh yeah,
100%. And that's why I mean that exit strategy, that whole point of it, just makes so much sense. And look, that's an original idea. You can claim that.
Yep.
No, I definitely heard it off somebody else. I can't remember who, but somebody said that exact phrase.
Well, when I talk to people about it, I'm like, bro, this really smart dude named Zach, his idea.
Some Russian dude in like Eastern Bloc has just said it like 15 years ago in like this dark, dingy basement. You need to know when to leave.
Yeah,
you can't do it
hey,
forever.
he didn't have social media, so it's not his fault. It's not his.
That's fair.
Yeah,
original audio.
Yeah, probably buy the ebook soon.
It'll be coming.
Yeah, just don't forget the taggers.
What's your next plans?
So next plans, honestly, towards the end of the year, I have a big plan, a big trip to Japan booked, and that's kind of like eating up a lot of my headspace because I'm like obsessing over it. But I have an ebook program dealio that I'm working on finishing off. Really just trying to finish off, fill in my books, to be completely honest, and get some more people into the coaching. And then after that, trying to look at mentorships and stuff like that is kind of where my head's sitting at the moment. That's
really cool, man. Have you been to Japan before too?
I have not left the country in 10 years.
Bro, you're going to love it.
You're due.
I'm really excited.
What's the top of the list?
Excited. I really want to go touch all the deer.
Touch all the deer?
At Nara Park. No, there's like all these deers that you give crackers to and you can touch them.
That's pretty cool. Do you get to eat them as well, or just touch them?
Nah, just touch them.
Honestly, I didn't hear the deer part. All I heard was like, I just can't wait to go touch all the D. And I'm like,
cool.
This podcast has escalated quickly.
Very dynamic.
I would just stand in the corner of the onsen and just like leap out at people.
Yeah, I was just like,
are you going to get your onsen on? You going to get an onsen?
Game.
I don't know if I'm allowed to because I have a big piece of corn tattooed on my upper arm.
Oh, I did.
Is that corn?
Yeah, it's a piece of corn. You can't really see it well, but it's definitely a big piece of corn.
Some onsens will let you in.
I'll have to look for them because I really want to like participate in public nudity.
Yeah. Because I did one when I was over there, and I've got half sleeves and stuff, and I had no dramas, but I think it was a private one, so part of a hotel.
Yeah,
which was no dramas, but it was super rad running around naked in a pool. Let's be honest. It was a rooftop one, so we went in the pool, all good. Saw the stairs, and I was like, "Well, stairs are on the other side of the pool. I guess I go up the stairs naked." So I did, and then I was on the roof naked in another onsen. I was like, "This is Why do we not have this in Australia?
This is living.
This was living.
I think I'm a bit confused at how do you pronounce
It's a male, female, like bathhouse sort of thing.
Imagine a spa, but everyone's cocks are out.
Yeah,
it?
naked.
Yeah, right.
Like a naked one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
closest one is in New
Cool.
Zealand.
There's a real thorough process to getting washed before you get in there, though. Just make sure you
Yeah,
adhere to said policy.
Scrape it all off.
Yeah, exactly right. Will you look at any samurai things or any old world Japan stuff while you're over there? Is that on the list too?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to go through Kyoto and all those places. It's a it's a guided tour, so it's with a company called Intrepid. So
Yep,
it's like it's costing me $4,000 including flights for the whole thing.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, but it's sleeping in hostels and all
Yep.
that. Like it's gonna be she's
Probably,
on the
man.
cheap, but
Yep.
I'm excited.
Fucking oath. It's all part of the experience and getting uncomfortable.
100%.
That's unreal. That is
Sick.
absolutely unreal.
And will you be still coaching while you're over there, or will it be an actual holiday?
Nah, still coaching.
Love it.
We don't get holidays.
No, I think that's the good thing about traveling, though, especially what we do, like being so focused on lines. Like we could literally just all we need is a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people do that now. Like not like leave here and
Mate, it's a fucking
flex success, guys.
yeah. It's a dream,
As long as you got a Wi-Fi and a camera and a thing,
and you're smart. That's the other part.
a Google Sheet maybe.
Google Sheets and intelligence both matter, I guess.
Yep.
Mate, before we wrap things up, we've got 10 very random questions,
I'm down. Hit me.
and they're just rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind. We say this, but they're actually quite thought provoking in some aspects. So,
Are you ready?
go.
All right, let's get me
Are
canceled.
aliens real?
Yes,
Favorite kids TV show?
Bluey.
Well,
We're going to come back to that.
you already have a podcast, so that's good. Who would you love to podcast next?
Oh, somebody who coaches triathlons. Don't know who,
Oh.
but triathlon is the topic.
That'd be rad.
Yeah, right.
So if you know someone, let me know.
That's a big sport.
I don't think I know anyone who coaches triathletes.
No,
That's
I know of.
Mm.
Favorite memory of school?
This group of people used to give me really big bags of pistachios.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a story and a half. My dumbass. So their parents used to give them these specific types of food because they had eating disorders, and I didn't realize they were using me as a human garbage disposal. So they just bring me all these snacks that they got from their parents because the teachers wouldn't let them throw them out, so they gave it to me.
And
I
you
didn't
got to eat 'em.
realize. Yeah, so I just got a bunch of pistachios that were meant for people who needed to eat the pistachios.
That's brilliant. Well, it's not so brilliant for them, but it worked out really good for you, bro.
Man, so many pistachios, and I fucking love pistachios.
Your favorite YouTube channel?
Oh, it's called NC Hammer 23. He reviews anime.
Oh,
That's sick.
Get around that. Your next goal for the future. What's on the list you'd like to achieve?
Finish off the ebook program. That's
Good.
the top of the list.
Love it. Next animal you'd like to eat?
Ostrich. Those long neck fucks look tasty.
We have not heard that.
Oh, I haven't eaten one either.
Neither.
What are you saving your pocket money for?
A wedding.
Nice.
Oh, bruh, feels.
Yep.
So
Those
cute. Those
things are rough.
expensive, eh?
Oh, bruh. That's a whole other podcast. When do you get married?
September next year.
Oh,
So we've got
you
time. Got plenty
So
of time.
cute. I'm going to give you a billboard for the day. What do you want to put on it?
We're just bags of meat piloted by electricity.
Boom.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Just
Yeah.
meat with electric. Like your head's a battery and it sends zaps and then you move. That's fucking weird.
It is strange when you think about how it works, or at least try to think about how it works.
It was the zap for me.
Zap, zap.
That got me.
Not three zaps though.
No, it's just the zap. You're good. Why Bluey?
It's just I like the colors and it's just such a refined sense of humor.
Okay.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna have to get on. I mean, you'd be probably privy to Bluey.
Bluey's coming soon.
Yeah,
It's a
We're in
it's a
Coco
great
Melon,
thing to put
unfortunately.
on like in the background because it's
Yeah,
like pretty
right.
colors, but there's no real content behind it. So it's like someone's in the room with you, but you're not gonna actually watch it.
That's fair. I like it.
Family tradition.
Oh, shit,
Do
we
you
haven't
have any family tradition? Bluey.
I buy everyone really cheap dildos for Christmas and birthdays.
Fuck,
Wait, what?
That is excellent.
Yeah. I bought, as a joke, I bought my brother, like, like the off-puttingly flesh-colored dildos?
Yeah.
I just bought him one for his birthday, and then I kind of just started sending them to people for special occasions. For like $15. So it's a great laugh, and it's cost-effective.
So all your family have these stacks of dildos.
Pretty well.
I want to be part of your family.
It's pretty funny. Like, it's not, Nen doesn't like it when she gets one, but...
You sent your Nan one? This is one of my favorite episodes ever.
Nana gets a dildo.
I mean, she probably needs it, but fuck it. I mean, Pa died like 10 years ago.
Oh dear, Nana needs her dildo. Oh dear.
You said thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Not those thoughts.
I don't know if I've.
The title will be
Gets a
powerlifting,
dildo.
athleticism, and dildos. And Nan gets a dildo.
That's.
There we go. Think about that.
I'm actually like that was one of the funniest statements I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant.
This is, I think, episode 253, 254 of our show, and I don't think we've ever had someone say, "Nan needs a dildo."
No, Nana's never got a dildo till now.
In my podcast, and when I used to be on the Nexus one, they had to crop out a lot of the things that I said.
See, there's very little. Like the only thing that we'll ever crop is things that could potentially get us cancelled, which I'm happy to say has not been much at all. So Nan gets a dildo is definitely
everywhere now.
Definitely, yeah. There's a fair chance I'm cropping this up for the gram.
Oh, go for it.
Oh,
I have no issues. It's on brand, just like my shitty Shutterstock memes.
I love it. Brother, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, we'll do the shout-out thing. Where can people find you? How can they get in touch if they do want to learn more about either what you're doing, your athleticism development, or athletic development, or the mentorships that you are in the works with?
So easiest place to find me is Instagram, which is Zac_Kongonis. It's too ethnic to spell, so just give it a shot. You can find me. My website is ktsystems.co. And my podcast is Make Strength and Conditioning Great Again. So they're the three main places you can find me.
It's too ethnic to spell. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there. I'll pop show note, all links to the show notes. Fuck, you've got me rattled. Mate, thank you so much. And we're just gonna
My pleasure.
Thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate it.